Alright, so we're ready to have a look at our 5 tasks. We need to do them in order because that will help us to develop the skills that we need to do the final task where we're going to create our own Genie story. Let's begin with this first task, create variable. So I'm going to click on here. This is where we have, it tells us what the task is, so we can watch the video and it will tell us what to do. It doesn't tell us everything, and it doesn't cost you your star to watch the video. It is the hint down here that if you click on the hint, that's when you will lose stars for achieving the task. Okay, so use those hints if you really need them, but after watching this video you probably won't need to and should get your 5 stars. Right, so let's click OK, because I know what I'm doing. So let's go and create our variable. It's the only bit of code that's across here, so I'm going to drag it across onto there, and we have VAR, which stands for variable, and we've created the variable. We want a variable type. Well, we know it's a number variable that we need to create, so I'm going to put number into there, and we have to set it to 0, so it equals 0. So we have all that. Now I would go and play. Now this is not quite right. Let's see what happens. This is what I got from a lot of people's work, and I'm not getting the arrow to say I've done it right because I've missed out a really important piece of information. When I read the sentence again carefully at my task, it says create a number variable called count. Well, I haven't changed it to count. Mine is still called my number 1. So I need to change that variable's name. And a lot of people didn't realize that they had to do that. So let's put count in. The only thing I'm changing from the first time, and I press play this time, and it works this time. Success, challenge completed. I'm ready for the next challenge. Okay, so this was all about creating a variable, making sure that we give it a name. The name should be something that makes sense to what you're trying to do. So our variable is going to do some counting, so we've called it count. Next challenge. We're going to add to the variable. The important thing about variables is they help us to make things happen within our program, within our piece of code, and it can make it happen after a certain period. All right. For example, if you look at your games that some of you play, that your characters might have 2 or 3 lives. And after those lives have gone, they die. They don't die straight away, but they've got 2 or 3 chances. Well, that will be done with a variable, and this is what we're going to look at now. So let's have a look again at what this is. So there's our variable that we created from the first slide. So it's called count, and at the moment it's set to 0. So what we want to do this time is when you click or swipe the lamp, we're going to add 1 to the variable. So when clicked, let's bring this piece of code over. What are we going to click? We're going to click the lamp. So when we click the lamp, what's going to happen? The variable is going to change. So we bring that across. What variable are we going to change? Well, it's count. That's make sure that it's the one that we've named, because sometimes you might have a lot of different variables. We've only got 1 at the moment, but you might have made more than 1 for some games. So when we click the lamp, count is set to, well, it's not going to be set to because we're going to add. So instead of having it set to, I'm going to add, and I want to add 1. Okay, so let's have a look at what happens down here. In this corner down here, we've got our variable watch, and as you can see, our count is set to 0. What happens when we click the lamp? Well, let's click it. My count goes up. Count equals 1. Click again. Count equals 2. Click again. Count equals 3. So every time I click or I swipe the lamp, I'm adding 1 to that variable, and it will keep going. I'm now ready to go on to the next challenge. Okay, now this is the whole purpose of our variables, because if we've got a variable, when it gets to a certain level, we can make things happen. So this is what we're going to do, because in the story of Aladdin, when you rub the lamp, and if you rub the lamp 3 times, the genie will appear. So we want that to happen in our story as well. We want the lamp, every time we click it 3 times, the genie is going to appear. So that's what our task is now. So here again, this is what we started. So we've got our variable. It's originally set to 0, but when we click the lamp, it's going to add 1 to it all the time. Now, this is where we're going to use an if. Now, an if statement always comes in 2 parts. Now, we've got an if something happens. I don't know if you can see it. We've got this here. Then something else happens. All right. So what we're going to say is if count equals 3, then what do we want to happen? Well, we want the lamp to become a genie. Oops. We want the lamp. Come on, lamp. We want the lamp to become a genie. So how do we make the lamp into a genie? Well, we change its image. And the image is going to be set to, click on here. There's the genie. So we're going to change it into a genie. Okay. Now this is pretty much what you have to do, but it's not quite right yet. I'm going to play it as it is, and you'll see that it doesn't work, and then I'll explain why it doesn't work. Okay. So let's play. And at the moment my count is 0. I'm going to click on this. 1, 2. Okay, so I'm clicking on it and my count's going up and it hasn't changed to a genie. So what have I done wrong? Okay, let's stop this and explain why it's wrong. What will happen is we've got these commands and then we've got little indentations in here. So we've got this bit here and then I've got a bit indentation. So this is telling you that when we click this, this is what happens. And then that little bit stops. This changes and it does this. Okay, now this isn't happening because it isn't part of this part. So I need to drag this and include it in that. Now, so watch what happens when I pop it in there. So now all of this is happening. So when we click the lamp, the computer does this. It does this. It adds 1 and then it checks to see if the count equals 3. Okay. So this time now, let's go and play. So my count is at 0 and I'm going to click 1, 2, 3, and there is my genie. Okay. And I can do the next challenge. So this little bit, making sure that that was in the right place, was very important. Next challenge. This is one where you have to just really look at what's wrong with the code. All right, so I'm not going to show you how to do this one. I'm going to just pause my video and get to the final challenge. So as you can see, I have managed to do all the 4 stages. I've got my 5 monkey stars, and I'm now ready to do the challenge. All right, the final challenge where I'm creating totally my own code. So let's have a look at what I'm going to do here. So I've just basically got to create my own story, and I've got to add my own characters. We're looking for the same sort of thing that we started with. We definitely want a variable, so I'm going to create a variable, and again it's going to be a number variable, and I'm going to call it count again. Why not? And again, I am going to set it to 0. So I've got my variable started, and I'm now wanting something to happen. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am struggling because there's nothing there. I need to create things on my screen, and this is where I'm going to go right across up to here to the design, and in that corner there with design, you click on this and it brings you to a new page where you can actually bring things into your work area. All right, so we definitely want a lamp, so I'm going to bring my lamp in here and I'm going to place it there. I can do, once I've placed it, and I can do things with my lamp. So I can have it moving if I wanted it to do. I can make it bigger. So at the moment it's 50, I can make it bigger or I can make it smaller. If I scroll down a little bit further, I can even change its image if I wanted it to. I can change it to look like a rabbit, or I could change it to look like a magician or whatever. But I want it as a lamp, so I'll just cross that off. So we got that. What else can I bring into here? Well, I want Aladdin. So I want Aladdin to come in to the picture as well. Okay, and then finally I am going to bring in a magic carpet, and I'm going to pop the magic carpet right up here in the corner. Okay, just bring it down a little bit. So my magic carpet is there. Now I'm going to be a little bit sneaky with my magic carpet, because I don't actually want a magic carpet. What I want is I'm going to change its image, and I'm going to change it to, let's see, I'm actually looking for a giant spider. Okay, now that's a bit too giant for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the size of it. Okay, so I've got a giant spider. But at the moment I am going to hide it. Right, what this does is it makes it invisible until I tell the code to show it to us. So I can see it here slightly grayed out, but when we actually look at the screen at the start of the game, it won't be there. Okay, so I've got everything that I want on the screen now, so I'm going to go back out of exit, and I'm now ready to create my variables. Okay, I tell you what I didn't do with this. Can you see how my spider icon down here is still called my carpet one? I should have, when I was on the spider, change it to spider, because that makes a lot more sense and helps me when I'm doing my code. Okay, so let's exit the design mode, so I can now see that down here my spider is now called spider, which makes a lot more sense to me. So again, I build up my code, which I'm going to do in just a moment. I'm going to pause the video while I build up my code. Okay, I have built up my code. You can see that I've got my variable, and I've set the count. It's called count, and I've set it to 0. And then you can see parts that you can probably recognize from the first time. When I click my lamp, the count adds 1, and if the count equals 3, then things will happen. So what happens? My lamp is going to change to a genie. But I've also added in this part here. Now this part here is a timer, so after 1 second my spider is going to show. Remember, I hid it at the beginning, so it's going to show. We'll start to see the spider then, and it will come down. Okay, so that's what I've said. Other things that you could do is, I thought it would be really nice that I can bring in some sounds. So let's bring in the sound from here, because what I want to do just before when the genie's arriving, I want some sound with it as well. So what sound do we want? There is different sounds. So we could have a magic sound. You can listen to that. That might be quite good. You could have a zap. Maybe not quite so good. A buzz. I think that's not too bad. A boing's quite good. So magic or boing. So let's go with magic. Okay, so we're happy with that. And once I have done that, I can then open the sound file. Oh, no, I don't. Cancel. Once I have got chime, not chime, Once I have got the one I want, which is, I click on it and it then puts it in. Okay, so sound, and we have this one, and it's going to go once. All right, so we can see now. Let's go back to what we've got. There's our image. Let's just move the variable watch out of the way so we can see everything. So I can go 1, 2, 3, and we've got the spider coming down as well. Did you notice how the spider appeared on the screen? I'll show you that again. Let's stop it. Let's play. No spider. This is the third click. Okay, so there's my game. See what you can do with your game. I can't wait to see them. Good luck.